Hello everyone and welcome to StudyIQ. In this lecture, we will discuss about the organ donations in India. The organ donations or the organ transplants have become an important current affair recently because foreign nationals are found receiving more number of heart transplants than the local. So this has led to commercialization of transplants, organ transplants. So this commercialization is a reason it has become a current affair. So in this lecture, we will discuss what is the present issue, what are the problems in the current transplant policy, what is the status of organ transplants in India, and what are the solutions in order to overcome the problems. First of all, let us see what is the current status of India. First of all, it has been 53 years that we have conducted the first organ transplant in our country. It was in Mumbai and it has been 53 years. So since then, there has not been significant improvement in this area. So that is one important cause of concern. And secondly, 12 states have not conducted even a single transplant surgery. This shows the lag of our country in this area. So this 12 states include states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, northeastern states, etc. So the penetration is very less. 12 states has not conducted even a single transplant surgery. And thirdly, less than 1% of the patients in need of organs like heart, liver, kidney, etc. they have got organs last year. This is according to the reports based on Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. So, according to the ministry's report, only 1% of demand has been met, which means there is a aggregate demand which is very high in the economy for the organs, but the supply is very less. So, we were able to meet merely 1% of the demand, which means that our country is lagging in this regard. And coming to the southern states and also Maharashtra, this states has emerged as organ transplant hubs, especially Chennai. Chennai is a preferable place for organ transplant, or Chennai has evolved as a transplant hub. The organ transplant can be done in two ways. One is cadaveric and second one is live organ donation. What is meant by cadaveric? Under the cadaveric transplant, in a few hours of the donor's death, organs are taken out, harvested and transported. So basically it means this is done after the death of the donor. And coming to live organ donations, this is done by a volunteer. Usually this volunteer is a family member and this person donates an organ or a portion of the organ when he is alive. So this is before death and this is after death. And what is the problem with live organ donation? A person cannot donate his heart when he is alive, or at least he should be brain dead. So this is limited to only liver and kidney transplants. So in case of live organ donations, the worst sufferers are those who are in need of heart transplant. In developed countries like the United States, the majority of the transplants are of cadaveric nature, which means this is done after the death of a person. And in case of India, we have more number of live organ donations. So what does it mean? From this, we can say that we have no proper mechanisms in order to collect the organs of donors after the death. So there is a lack of proper mechanism. And that is the reason we are not able to meet the demand of organ transplants. Notably, in India, there are at least 1.5 lakh road accidents on an average every year and 1 lakh brain deaths. So, if there is a proper mechanism in order to collect the organs of these people, the demand can be met at least to some further extent. Again, another issue is the private sector dominance. So, most of the transplantation surgeries are done by the private corporate hospitals. The government healthcare centers or the medical colleges have not given due attention for this. This has led to controversy. And this has also led to another issue that we have already discussed in the beginning, that is the foreign patients are receiving organs disproportionately. Now coming to the problems in the current policy. First of all, the current policy lacks transparency. How much of organs are donated every year, how much transplants are conducted every year, who are receiving these transplants, who are the donors, all these areas needs transparency, and at present we lack transparency in all these areas. And as we have said, Tamil Nadu or Chennai has evolved as the center of Transplants or Transplantation Hub. And even the case of Chennai, if we consider, there are problems regarding preferential allocations. What is meant by preferential allocation? It means that who is given preference? Need-based preference must be given. What really happens is affordability-based preference. Those who can afford it will get organ transplanted. But those who are in much need of it, they sometimes may be neglected. So even in case of Chennai, which is the transplantation hub in India, there are issues related to preferential allocations. And there are also many controversies related to organ transplants in India. Recently, there was a news regarding the communication leakage from the head of the National Organ and Tissue Transport Organization. So, all this have led to controversies. Again, coming to public credibility, there is a lack of public credibility, which means that there is no public trust with regard to organ transplantation. The public lacks trust. If there is transparency, there will be more public credibility and we will be able to restore the faith of masses. And as we discussed in the beginning, more foreigners are getting organ transplantations done in the country. What are the reasons for that? When it comes to organ transplantation, liver, kidney and heart, these three organs are involved. And with regard to heart transplantation, there is a disproportionate number. That is, it is skewed towards foreigners. Foreigners are receiving disproportionately heart transplants done in India. First reason for this is that in some countries they do not have a dedicated program to find deceased donor. So especially with regard to heart transplants, what is really required is a deceased donor. When a person is alive, he cannot donate his heart. So some countries lack programs or mechanisms in order to find deceased donor. So those patients from the countries which do not have programs in order to find deceased donor, they will find some other countries. So those people will come to India. Secondly, affordability is a factor. So heart transplants in India are mostly done in corporate hospitals, and the cost which are incurred for heart transplantation or any other organ transplantation, the cost is beyond the affordability or capacity of majority of the local population. So the cost makes it unaffordable for the local, and foreigners sometimes will be affordable to bear the cost in the private hospitals. That is the second reason. And thirdly, privatization. Private hospitals are profit oriented, and this makes organ transplants financially skewed to the rich. So when private hospitals aims at making more profit, the cost incurred will be high. More profit, more will be the cost. So when cost increases, it becomes unaffordable for the poor, and therefore only the rich can afford organ transplants. So what is the solution or way ahead for this problem? First of all, it should be a need-based approach than affordability-based approach. So organ transplants must be done on a need-based manner. What should be considered, or the factor that should be considered while making organ transplantation, should be the need or the priority, not the affordability. Secondly, subsidizing transplantation cost in the private hospitals. Government should make some measures in order to subsidize the cost of transplants in the private hospitals so that it becomes affordable for the poor as well. Thirdly, quota-based organ donations. This will improve the fairness in the transplants. Again, fourthly, the public hospitals should also come to the picture. Major public hospitals like the AIIMS or medical colleges, etc., they can get more involved in the transplantation surgeries. So this will end the monopoly of the private sector. So when the monopoly is ended, the cost will come down and this will become affordable for the poor people as well. Also, the private hospitals can integrate with deceased donor programs, and this will make them come in par with the private counterparts. And also, this deceased donor programs will increase the number of cadaveric surgeries or cadaveric transplants, which usually happens after the death of the donor. So when the number of cadaveric transplants increase, the demand can be met. So the government should take measures in order to increase the number of cadaveric surgeries, and they should integrate with some deceased donor programs. Some mechanisms should be made for this. Again, the public trust. The public trust need to be built up. There should be transparency, fairness, and also government should come up with certain policies and programs so that the public trust or confidence will improve, and this will lead to more number of cadaveric donations or transplants. If we take the example of Europe, in Europe there are high organ donation rates, and what is the reason for this high donation rates? This is because the public or the citizens of the country have trust in the nationalized health schemes. So this is because of the public trust existing in the countries. So if we are able to build public trust, this will lead to more donation rates so that the demand can be met first of all. Secondly, it will reduce the cost, and reducing the cost will make it affordable for the poor people as well. Thirdly, it will end the monopoly of the private sector. And fourthly, the cadaveric donations will increase. Next is inclusiveness. Every stakeholder must be included in this process. This can be done by increasing the awareness and also by framing policies and programs that includes every stakeholder into it and making it accountable, transparent and fair. Next is equity. Innovative policies must be adopted in order to ensure equity. Equity is a need-based approach than affordability-based. So a need-based approach must be put up. As we know, India is a liberal market. So this liberalization has been included even in the healthcare sector. So technologies must be used from other countries. Innovative policies can be adopted. We are an open economy. So all these facilities can be used properly in order to bring equity in the organ transplantation sector. And seventhly, the Tamil Nadu model can be adopted. So in Tamil Nadu, there has been a deceased donation program. There are more number of deceased donations, and also they have a good record of public medical institutional infrastructure. So this model can be adopted in order to improve the situation. With all this, the organ transplantation sector can improve. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page. Also, the YouTube link will also be shared in the Facebook page. Thank you.